Guys, welcome back to the van series. I had to take a week off to get some Christmas orders out, but that's all done, and I'm probably going to still call this week 9, even though it's 2 weeks later, but here we go. I mainly got 2 projects done this week. The first one was I just reinforced a lot of things to the bed frame, because before you saw it, I had it up, but I tried like laying on it, and it was like super unstable, and just like I felt like I was going to break it anytime I was like laying on it or like moved the tiny bit. But now I can like lay on it, and I mean, I'm still worried about it, but definitely not what it was. So the first thing I tried last week to try to add that rigidity is I added spray foam to kind of like these cracks in between where the like those ribs are, but that really didn't add any like strength to it, because it just has those are made to flex just as much as anything else. So like sprayed that in there, didn't really have any noticeable impact. What ended up solving it was I just took a piece of plywood and then glued it in where the curve of the frame was, and having like the solid piece on the bottom and solid piece that'll be the top, that added a lot of rigidity. Once I was able to stabilize the top of the bed in bed mode, it was time to handle stabilizing it while it's in table mode. And so we got this little switch that'll be covered up by a panel, and then you just hit it up, and then the bed starts to lift. It takes almost a full minute for it to lift up, which is a bit longer than I expected, but luckily I just have to throw that switch and then it does its own thing. So once I have like cushions and sheets on here, it should be nice, because then I can just like flip the switch and then get like the cushions and all those like changed position. So it shouldn't actually be a problem, and it's just so nice to like flip a switch and it to do its own thing. I know a bunch of other van builds, you have to like this is all like a manual thing. You have to like take off the table, raise up the platform, put it back on, and then do all your sheets things. So I'm happy with it, but oh my goodness, stabilizing this thing was a big to-do this week. So I already had the actuator supported at the motor part of the actuator, but then I added an additional support where it goes up to the secondary flooring. I added a middle support, which is mid part to control the like shaft of the actuator, and I also added this whole beam going across to keep it from wobbling. But the biggest change was adding these little wires to it. It was just a matter of like the different wooden supports that I made. Just like the tiniest tap on like one of these corners just caused like the entire thing to like both rock and shift from side to side. And so I'm able to show you this because I've lowered the bed a bit, so like these different wires that I attached are just loose in there. And so thankfully I showed this problem to my friend Liam, who's here at the Makerspace, which I do all this, and he recommended these wires. We'll just raise up the bed a bit, and you can see that same little bit of pressure. It still has a bit of wiggle, but it's like it's 5 to 10% of what it was without those wires, and like that's just 4 different wires. So I'm gonna once I have this area built out a little more, I'm gonna test this out with like having some friends over for board games, and like if it's still too wiggly, I can just add more wires, and I'm sure that'll just like keep adding more stability to it. And the nice thing about this arrangement is it was very important to have it so people can like easily slide in to the table, and just having them at the angle which they're at allows me to do that. So oh my goodness, this was so frustrating getting this like all built up and like adding support and just seeing no progress. And then, you know, super thankful that like Liam suggested these wires, because it's I can now check this off as like a mostly done thing. I feel like that's what all these like van like steps are. It's like, all right, 95% done, good enough for now. When it's livable, I can make like all these walls actually like look nice, and that'll be like a huge thing, but not the top of the priority list as far as livability goes. So like, oh my goodness, so nice to have that table up and working. What I did this week was made these little storage bins to fit underneath the seating, and they're super nice because they can come fully out in case I need to like take them anywhere, like stuff things in, or like there's probably not too much room when it's tables down to reach them. So nice to be able to like pull them out, fill them up, and then just slide them on back in and where they go. And they actually looks like super nice right now, because they're similar like slats as like the top of the counter or the top of the seating area. When those have pads, I imagine won't be as uniform, but still looks super nice, and still super happy with how it looks. So one more step on my way to moving into the van. Speaking of moving into the van, I know I told you guys that December was my plan for the move-in date for the van. It's now the end of December, and because I've had like a bunch of these hiccups, I thankfully realized at the beginning of the month that this was not really too feasible. So end of January is the new plan for move-in, and like electrical and this table were like the two main things that were kind of like unknown, or the main things, that were unknown for this whole van build process. And now that those are basically at a point where I feel they're under control, I'm very confident that I'll be able to like bust out this whole kitchen area and extra like spots to put things before moving. And that's like the main limiting factor for moving to the van, is I gotta have places to put things. So hopefully like now that all this is done, the next couple of weeks will be like a lot of progress on here. So fingers crossed. But yeah, super happy with the progress this week, and I'll see you guys next week.